It's Tuesday, and you're watching Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. I'm Chris Yao, joined by Maurice Patton, and we are very excited about today's show because we get to talk SEC football. We are starting the SEC previews, and they'll go all the way up to the kickoff in Nashville, not at Pearl-Cohn High School, by the way.
A few folks got didn't they?
Lot of folks. I mean, I got a text from our colleague Wade Neely, who said an SEC staffer sent him the tweet.
No. Surely they sent it as a joke, as a gaffe, right?
I don't know. That's just what he said. And, it's Richard G. West, for those of you who don't know, not a real Twitter account.
Who I have blocked.
It is a real Twitter account.
It's a real account.
Just not a
real account.
Not a media person. They are a parody account, and you got to be careful. Now,
yeah.
I mean, he got me last year. The first time I'd ever seen him was when he said that Brew McCoy had been officially deemed eligible.
Before he had been deemed
turned
eligible.
out to be true, but
Not
it was way before.
Yeah, well, he got me with a Vanderbilt basketball issue.
Yeah.
At that point, like I said, I blocked him.
Yeah, you can't. You got to be careful.
Just
be careful.
I don't need that stuff.
Anyway, Vanderbilt will not be playing Hawaii at Pearl-Cohn High School. It will be at First Bank Stadium. So just want to clear that up while we can. But we will be previewing SEC football all the way up to that event. And we start with LSU, just like we did the SEC Media Days. LSU first out of the gate. So the Tigers, and we go to Ron Higgins of Tiger Rag. So he's going to join us.
Actually,
is he not Tiger Rag anymore?
No, he's not Tiger Rag anymore.
Oh, well, we need to fix that.
Yeah. He's like Shreveport Bossier, I think.
Okay. Well,
we'll get that taken care of.
We'll get that taken care of then. Okay. That's good to know. All right. But he does cover, of course, LSU, and we'll talk to him about them. We've also got, of course, Chip Walters, because it's Tuesday.
Oh, it's Tuesday.
And the power rankings come out on Tuesday. So we'll talk to him about what's going on at Middle Tennessee State. We've also got Top 5 Tuesday and Top 5 Fights in Sports is the category.
For obvious reasons.
But yeah, sports that shouldn't have fighting.
Right. Not boxing, not MMA, that kind of
And not
thing.
even hockey, really.
Well, I mean, I didn't have any hockey just because I wasn't familiar enough with any of them. But yeah.
I've got one that happened on ice.
But it wasn't hockey.
It wasn't hockey. Oh, the most famous one of all time. You
That wasn't on ice.
Okay. Well, no, it didn't happen on the ice, but
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
it did happen. Although that would have been really fun. Clean that up.
Wow.
I was thinking you were talking about like figure skaters or something.
We are.
He is.
I am.
Oh, wow.
The event just didn't happen on the ice. It happened off the ice between two figure skaters. But that'll be drafted at some point. Hopefully, it's on my list.
Right.
Long list. But that'll be fun, and we'll also talk with Matt Brown here in just a few minutes. We've got a lot to get to with him because he was actually in Ann Arbor for completely unrelated things to sports, but he was there, so perhaps he heard some things. Perhaps he overheard some things in the coffee shop. Perhaps, who knows?
Perhaps he spoke with someone.
Perhaps he spoke with someone. Perhaps someone bought him a burger. You got to be careful.
I don't know if anybody's buying burgers in Ann Arbor these
They don't even
days.
sell them no more.
Right.
Don't even
Took them
sell
off the menu.
burgers.
Wow.
Oh, man. So, yeah, we got a lot to get to. It's going to be a good show, going to be a lot of fun. But we'll start, of course, as we do every day, with the results from yesterday and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the Rundown.
Results. The Pirates defeated Atlanta 7-6. It was Cincinnati with a 5-2 win over Miami. The Mets down the Cubs 11-2, and the Brewers blasted the Rockies 12-1.
Today's schedule includes Little League Regional Tournament action at 4 o'clock today on ESPN. It's Nolensville and Lake Mary, Florida for the championship and a spot in Williamsport. So should be fun. Major League Baseball action today at 5:40. The Marlins are at the Reds, as well as the Cardinals at Tampa Bay. At 6:05, it's the Braves at the Pirates, as well as the Astros and the Orioles, and that can be seen on TBS. The Cubs are in New York still, 6:10 first pitch there, and the Rockies are in Milwaukee to take on the Brew Crew at 7:10 p.m.
At 6:05 in minor league action, the Sounds begin a 6-game series at Indianapolis.
Not the Clowns.
No, not the Clowns. They are the Indians, I do believe, unless they have changed that.
I think
I'm pretty sure they are. WNBA action right now, tipped off about 8 minutes ago. The Connecticut Sun is at the Seattle Storm, and that game can be seen on NBA TV. At 6 o'clock tonight, you've got the LA Sparks at the Indiana Fever. At 7 on NBA TV, it's the Minnesota Lynx at the Chicago Sky. At 7 on CBS Sports Network, it's the Las Vegas Aces at the Dallas Wings. And at 9 on CBS Sports Network, it's the Washington Mystics at the Phoenix Mercury. On the pitch, in the Leagues Cup, it's Club America at Geodis Park against Nashville Soccer Club. That's a 7 o'clock first touch. And that is your rundown.
Top stories brought to you by our friends at Piggly Wiggly, as it is each and every day here on Main Street Sports Today. Piggly Wiggly has your daily fresh hand-cut meats. They also, of course, have their daily lunch specials, meat and 2 vegetables or 3 vegetables and a dessert, or how many, I mean, really just whatever you want. They'll make it for you. And it's fantastic food. And of course, they've got fresh vegetables and produce, etc. as well. So make sure to go by in Neely's Mill if you're in Columbia to check out Piggly Wiggly.
What if you're not in Columbia?
You got to be in Columbia to go.
Well,
we need to pull out that clip of Morgan Freeman just saying, "Y'all did a Piggly Wiggly, Miss Daisy," and that's it. That's how we end that segment each and every time. That'd be hilarious. But top story today comes from the Tennessee Titans, as Mike Vrabel announced yesterday that he will not be the head coach this weekend for the club during their first preseason game against the Chicago Bears. Instead, it will be Terrell Williams. An interesting thing. I don't know that has this ever happened before?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, and it's not like Vrabel's not going to be there. It's not like somebody is subbing in for him because he's going to a kid's graduation or anything like that. Mike Vrabel is just stepping aside for the run up to this ball game. Terrell Williams will act as the head coach for Chicago starting on Friday. This is a great opportunity for him and for us and everybody involved. Williams holds the title of assistant head coach as well as defensive line coach for the Titans. So just wants Williams to have the opportunity to go through the process of being a head coach for a weekend, setting lineups, managing staff, speaking with media, and running the show. I mean, I assume, having final say on plays and alignments to, throwing the challenge flag, to dealing with officials, to all of that. Vrabel said, I just think that him dealing with and talking with the trainer, just handling things with the roster and discussing those things with the assistant coaches and how we want to play the game, let him make those decisions in the game. I do think it will be a great opportunity, well-deserved, and just something I wanted to do. So according to this article on yahoosports.com, which was the first thing I came up with when I Googled Terrell Williams. Defensive.
Is it Terrell?
I think it's Terrell. I think so. I think it is. Defensive assistant Clinton McMillan will take over Williams' regular role of overseeing the defensive line.
So is Vrabel just going to be out there in the backfield like in Pee Wee?
Just kind of hanging out.
he's going to be up in the booth with Amy and Rand just chilling. Man, look down there.
I feel like Vrabel is going to be on the sideline somewhere. I just don't. It's not really. I don't think it's specified what he's going to be doing because I don't think he's specified what he's going to be doing.
It's an interesting concept, though.
It really is. And I tell you what, I think it creates some intrigue for a preseason game that otherwise would have very little. I had no intention of watching the Bears and Titans in the first preseason game for either team. And I'm still not sure that I will, but I'm more likely to now. Just because I want to see, as much as anything, again, I want to see what Vrabel's going to be doing. But I also kind of want to see how this plays out with Terrell Williams. And I'll be interested to hear running up to the game and after the game what he feels like the significance of this was or is.
Now, if you do want to watch it, it'll be on WKRN News 2. You'll hear Paul Burmeister and Charles Davis, along with Corey Curtis.
I'm not sure who Paul Burmeister is, but I do know who Charles.
Well, I know who Paul Burmeister is, and I also know who Corey Curtis is.
Oh yeah, everybody knows who Corey Curtis is.
So that's
no. Okay, so here's what's interesting. So you say it's on WKRN. WKRN is currently not on DirecTV.
Ooh. Guess you'll need, and I wonder if it's blacked out on NFL Plus.
I don't know, but WKRN has not been on DirecTV for a good month.
I've seen that, and this is not good leading up to college football and NFL football season.
Yeah, not having the ABC affiliate available with college football right around the corner is not a good thing. DirecTV needs to get that dealt with, or ABC needs to get that dealt with all due haste.
You can listen to the broadcast on the Titans mobile app as well as on desktop computers.
The golden tones of the Vite
That's right.
and Coach Mack.
Mike Keith, Dave McGinnis, along with Ramon Foster and Rhett Bryan.
Ramon's going to be doing sideline,
He
right?
will.
What happened to Amy? Is that her? It was Amy, right?
You know, I don't know.
I saw that here not too long ago that Ramon was going to be doing sideline. That's a good gig for him.
Yeah, a good get for Titans radio. I mean, you're getting a in-game analyst.
Who has been in game.
Right. I mean, this is a guy who knows it. And so that'll be really interesting to see what he brings to the table. Obviously, I'm interested in seeing this because I'm much more curious about the quarterback situation than anything, and especially with Malik Willis having run with the twos. I assume he will get the start on Saturday
Yeah.
at noon.
Saturday.
I don't know what else I got going on Saturday at noon. Like right now, I don't think there's anything, so I'll probably be watching. But I'm really just watching to see what, if anything, the offense looks like, the offensive line, if it's first teamers, second teamers, because obviously the Titans' first team is much like a second team for most teams. So, I mean, this will be an interesting start to the preseason, and like you said, it does give it a little bit more watchability, at least some sort of storyline worth pursuing. So, should be fun. Should be, and look, it's it's an opportunity to watch live NFL football, and I'm not opposed to that.
And it's an opportunity that I did not take last Thursday, by the way.
Well, you were among the very few, apparently.
Really? Did you watch?
I did, and the Hall of Fame game drew 6.3 million viewers, which surpassed the NBA playoff average. It surpassed almost every other major sports.
Now, again,
Period.
as we talked about going into that game, neither Deshaun Watson nor Aaron Rodgers played, right?
Right.
What were you watching? Who were you watching? Why were you watching?
Okay, but what else were you? What else could you have watched? That's the real question. Outside of baseball,
Paint dry?
so
There's going to be plenty of football that means something here in a month or less. Why?
because there's nothing else. As we've told you on the rundown every single day, there's literally nothing else. I will say this. I thought this was interesting. For the last week in ratings, NASCAR tops the sports world with a 1.5, while the Sweden-U.S. women's national team had a 1.4. Now, there's a little difference between 4:13 p.m. on a Sunday versus 4:42 a.m. on Friday morning, Saturday morning.
Mm-hmm.
So kudos to them. The Dodgers in San Diego on Sunday Night Baseball, and then the IndyCar Series drew a 0.7 on Sunday, which is pretty impressive. So anyway, we're going let me make sure that we've got Matt. Matt Brown is scheduled to come on with us here in just a moment. It looks like he will be with us. So If you guys will stick with us through a break, we will come back on the other side with Matt Brown of Extra Points, talking a little bit about the business of college football and other sports, because that's really what matters here. Stick around. We'll be right back after this to the Lee Company studio. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yao, Mo Patton, coming to you live from the Lee Company studio right here in Columbia, Tennessee. Just a short drive from Nashville, and a lot of folks coming around these days as summer is winding down, getting in that last vacation. And so we like to stay down here where, you know, a lot of folks are coming, but at least it's not, woo girls outside our window.
No pedal taverns.
No pedal taverns.
Yeah.
If you're coming down here, it's just a little more sophisticated trip.
A little quieter.
If you're coming to Milltown. So
It's a little quieter.
looking forward to this next segment as we're getting ready to talk the business of college athletics as we bring in Matt Brown of Extra Points, who we've been patiently waiting to talk to for a couple of days. Looking forward to this one. Matt, thanks for taking time with us. We appreciate it, man.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for being patient. It's been as you can imagine, an unusually busy past couple of days here on my beat.
Your beat in particular. Yeah. Are we done?
No, we're not. We're not done. There are conversations happening right now not just with the ACC involving Stanford and Cal, although the folks I talked to this morning that are familiar with those conversations don't expect them to result in those schools being invited. But the Mountain West is trying to make moves. The American Athletic is trying to make moves. We have yet to reach a final resolution to what happens with the remaining Pac-4 institutions, and certainly whatever ends up being the resolution there is going to trickle into the Mountain West. It's going to likely trickle into the FCS, potentially the WAC, potentially the Big Sky, and there'll be downstream effects of this as well. So the biggest shocks have happened. Like, I don't expect Florida State to leave anywhere in the next week, but there are going to be aftershocks related to last Friday for several more days to come.
I find that, and I think for us here, I'm most interested in what the AAC wants to do and if westward expansion is even a possibility for them. If it is, they've got to take some Mountain West teams, and I don't know that that's possible.
Yeah, that has been the framework that's essentially been described to me here too, right? Like, we don't need to go shopping right now. If we have an opportunity to potentially grab a couple of premium brands at Stanford and Cal that help bolster an identity that part of the American has of being around some really elite academic institutions, there's a chance to do that. Maybe you try to go grab another Mountain West team or so to make that travel more possible, and then potentially to trigger some sort of renegotiation with ESPN to put more of the American athletic content on linear television instead of behind a paywall. A lot of AAC content is going to be on ESPN Plus. There's obviously a linear component, but if you want to watch AAC basketball, if you want to watch some of their Olympic sports, you want to watch every football game, it's going to be on Plus. If there's a Western component and things open up here to another time zone where ESPN right now is going to have a hole in their broadcast inventory, maybe that changes things. And I say that not to say that here at 2:27 p.m. God's time zone here on Tuesday, that is the most likely outcome to happen. I'm not saying that. I'm simply saying there are a lot of different conversations happening right now, that being one of them.
One of the things we do agree on is that Central Time is God's time zone.
That's true. People forget that.
That's absolutely accurate. Matt, isn't Stanford Cal, doesn't that have to be the first domino to fall? Or
I don't
the
think
next domino to fall?
Yeah, I would say they're the most valuable domino, but they're not necessarily the next ones. One of the challenges here with the Pac-4 and the Mountain West, where you would think that geographically it would make sense to have some kind of union, is that there's two really big administrative hurdles that, to the best of my knowledge, no one's figured out exactly how to fix yet. One of those is does it become the Mountain West, the Pac-4, or something else? Because both leagues control very important money that nobody really wants to give up. The Mountain West is going to be sitting on a nice pile of NCAA tournament units, in part because San Diego State made the dang championship game. And so they don't want to dissolve the league and necessarily give those up. And also, if you leave the league and the league still exists, you owe $34 million in exit fees, which is why San Diego State had to backtrack when their golden ticket fell apart. And these are not schools that have a lot of liquid assets. So that's going to be a concern for Boise, San Diego, Fresno, CSU, everybody else. On the Pac-4 side, you don't necessarily want to dissolve that conference because for 2 more years, you've got A5 designation. You have not exactly an automatic bid to the college football playoff, but a more direct pathway than maybe what's left of the Mountain West. And you don't want to give up that money. You don't want to give up the other media rights money that's guaranteed to you. In all of this, the thing about both Stanford and Cal, beyond the fact that they're elitist institutions that feel that it is important to maybe not be branded with the unwashed masses of non-selective enrollment public schools. Mm-hmm. But as mid as they have both been in football and basketball over the last 4 or 5 years, these are two of the most elite Olympic sport athletic departments in the country. And to move to the Mountain West where many of those schools are not even offering full scholarships for their volleyball and their softball and their soccer programs. They're just going to destroy everyone. And that's not really a great competitive environment, to say nothing of branding. So I think it is possible. Long way of saying here, it's possible Washington State and Oregon State may find a solution before Stanford and Cal do, and they're not necessarily tied at the hip with each other.
Like so many other things that aren't being taken into consideration in all of this, you brought up an excellent point, and it's the first time I've heard it with regards to the Mountain West and those tournament units that result from San Diego State's run. And that's not just a one-year thing either, is it? I mean, those things stretch out over like, what, 4
6
years?
years.
6.
6 years. And I'd have to go to double check the math. I think that's going to be a story for later this week. I think the Mountain West is still owed multiple tournament units from previous years, because it wasn't that long ago they sent like 4 teams to the tournament. Like, I know nobody, advanced very far, but in practice, like per school, that comes out to close to $1 million a year when you add in all of those units from previous years before. That's not existential money, but it's definitely enough money to bring in a bunch of attorneys and figure out what can we do to maintain all of this as much as possible. And as as of the last time I heard from industry people, there's not an obvious solution yet.
Matt, when I reached out to you, you said if the Pac-12 still existed on Monday that we could get you. But the reason I reached out was because of your Big Ten story ahead of all of this happening, because you were kind of hinting that Oregon and Washington were on the radar, were probably going to happen if something else happened. That being said, it was kind of reported here and there that Big Ten folks really didn't want to do this necessarily, but they felt like they had to in the event that the Four Corner schools went to the Big 12. Is that what you're hearing as well?
I want to think of the best way for me to answer this in a way that is compliant with FCC regulations over what you're allowed to say over the airwaves.
Look, we're on the internet, man. Nobody cares.
No, okay. Well, I mean, I don't want to.
But yes, we don't want to get in trouble. I don't
want to cuss too much here, but I will say this: Big Ten administrators and presidents were very happy to tell that line to people like me and people like other national reporters. I do not believe it. There was no gun from Indianapolis. There was no gun from George Kliavkoff or Brett Yormark or anybody else that forced the Big Ten to take these schools. They had all of the television money, demographic information, all of the ratings breakdown, all of the stuff. They've had it for a year because they've been meeting since last summer. I wrote about it. I've even seen some of the numbers. I haven't seen all of them because they're proprietary, but I've seen some of them. And I know there wasn't such an enormous jump in money that it made sense to do this immediately, especially considering the significant costs, which Big Ten officials knew. And we even saw this, I think, yesterday. A regent at the University of Michigan was like, hey, guys, this deal sucks. This deal increases travel and makes the experience of our athletes worse. We understand that fans here don't like it, but sucks that we had to do it. Blame the NCAA. And I say, that's bleeping baloney, man. Like Michigan's president, it's balderdash. It's just baloney. Michigan's president was on that committee of the steering committee. He was the one that leaked to all the national reporters that this was going on. He grabbed the wheel. And it's not like Michigan or Ohio State or Wisconsin need more money to be competitive. All of these schools generate more money than Nicaragua makes as a country every single year. Like, that is not the reason that you're not being successful here. You did it because you want to do it. And if you're going to do that, the honest thing to do is what Big 12 is doing, what Brett Yormark is doing, and just saying, we did it because we wanted to. Not, we did it because we felt like we had no choice to protect the dignity of the student. Get out of here with that. Like, if you're gonna do something that you know is wrong and unpopular, then have the balls and to be in public and own that decision. Don't try to be popular on the internet and mealy mouth it. It legitimately makes me really angry.
Clearly, this is why we have Matt Brown from Extra Points on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid Tennessee Bone and Joint. For just that type of insight and passion. I love it.
Look, and that's the whole thing here is the Big Ten had plenty of money. They had everything worked out.
The Big Ten didn't have to do anything.
They didn't have to do anything. Now,
Yeah.
in the event that they didn't, Matt, this is all hypothetical. What would have happened to Oregon? And I mean, would that have changed what we're talking about today on a massive scale?
I mean, we would still have some pretty significant problems, but if the Big Ten had communicated, guys, we're just not interested, the Pac-12 probably still exists. It's
Because
very
that's the only place that Oregon and Washington would have left for, right?
That's it. They weren't super excited about independence, and you know, based on everything that I've heard, they weren't. They were coming around to the idea of being the big fish in a small pond, right? Hey, for 2 years. We got the most direct path to the college football playoff. We can beat up on people here. And Utah and Arizona State, I'm not telling tales out of school here, did not want to go to the Big 12. They still don't want to go to the Big 12. They don't want to associate with Big 12 schools. They don't want to go to Morgantown. Arizona State's athletic director just flat out said, I don't want to go to Morgantown. I'm going to make my deputy do it. Everybody only did it because they literally felt they had no other choice. And realistically, after Oregon and Washington,
West Virginia in all this catching strays.
And I will say, to Ren Baker's defense, the athletic director of West Virginia did put out a tweet. I want to say yesterday that said, "Folks, there's two different kinds of people in this world. There's people that love West Virginia, and folks that haven't been there yet." And based on my experience, I think that that's true. It's just elitism. It's people that don't want to fly into Pittsburgh and don't want to face the indignity of driving in a car for an hour. Like, if that's not you,
flying into Pittsburgh is. I can see the
look. The weirdest thing about this whole story is these administrators at Arizona State acting like they're at Cambridge. Dog, I've been to Arizona State. Like, let's not. I don't care what the AAU says. I know what kind of school you are. I know the kind of people that go to Arizona State. Do not lie to me. You do not get to put on classist airs and pretend that you're some dignified historical cathedral of learning. You are suntan you.
I've been to Tempe. It's
party.
It ain't all that. Yeah.
No, I've lived there. I've lived there. No, it's very frustrating. So again, all this to say, yeah, they didn't want to do it, and they realistically had to do it once Oregon and Washington left, and that was the hesitancy about all of this. Is that will the Big Ten take them or not? And for me, I think anybody in Chicago or Indianapolis or in the Big Ten sphere that tries to say that we had no choice is simply not being honest with you. Just own the choice that you made.
And you posted the meme of the guy shooting the dude on the couch. Why would the Big 12 do this? And it's the Big Ten asking the question. I think that feels like the most accurate depiction of this entire thing. Now, that being said, you say we're not done. If the ACC adds teams, what does that do to their grant of rights? Does it open the door?
So I don't have this on. Jim Phillips has not clarified this with me, and I have not seen this read or heard this from a specific athletic director. What I've heard from consultants is, if you add Notre Dame, sure, we can redo the grant of rights, and that's it. Like, if you add Connecticut and West Virginia and the Big East Friends and Cal and Stanford, we might adjust your individual payout. Adding Cal and Stanford would add more revenue to the ACC network because it would improve carriage distribution in San Francisco and probably Sacramento. ESPN would be happy about having a late night television window, but they're not going to redo the long-term television deal. So it doesn't fundamentally change the stress and the tension between Florida State and, to a lesser extent, Clemson and the rest of this league. And that is one of the many reasons why I don't think it ultimately happens, because as much as would be excitement about associating with those brands and maybe elevating some of your Olympic sports, it would be a lot of travel and a lot of a headache for something that ultimately doesn't solve your key problem.
Where does Florida State want to go?
That's what
They want to go somewhere, but where?
I wasn't going to ask where does Florida State want to go, but I was going to ask who wants Florida State?
JP Morgan.
Clearly.
Or at least their money, right? That is the $500 million question. And
because I don't think the SEC does. I don't think the SEC benefits from Florida State.
I don't think either the SEC or the Big Ten do at this point. And I haven't heard either read anywhere else or heard directly sourced that there's any university president in either league that's openly pining for Florida State. It would make each league a little bit more money, but it also brings a bunch of other problems. And I don't mind saying this, even though it might be controversial in this market. Now is not the time for Big Ten presidents to want to work with a public school in Florida for reasons that have nothing to do with football. That will make the governance of this league harder. That might be a conversation you have in 2 or 3 years if maybe you got a different governor or you have some different folks working in the Department of Higher Ed. But listen, we already saw political tensions nearly tear this league apart over COVID. And now you just added 2 more deep baby blue governors and states and then boards of regents that are going to be governing your school, bringing into a league with Iowa, Nebraska, and Ohio. This is not the time to go bring in Governor Culture War and higher ed. And people are going to be like, why are you bringing politics into sports? Why are you this dumb, degenerate lib? Look, man, I'm just telling you the truth. These are the kind of things that matter to presidents. And I could tell you they are things that matter in realignment because I know of specific examples where it's happened at the mid-major level.
And if you don't talk about it now, you're going to wind up talking about it on the back end.
That's exactly it. If you pretend that those issues don't happen, aren't a concern, and then you sit down for the first president's unit, and you have some legitimate governance problems, and this has happened in multiple leagues that I know of. So I'm willing to concede that Florida State may know something here that I don't. But I will say that to reach out to institutional investors and potentially private equity to finance that change is terrifying. And that is something that should bother any college sports fan, particularly for one that roots for a public institution, because the downstream negative implications of that move could be massive, far outstretching anything that has to do with the ACC.
Matt Brown of extrapointsmb.com. Before I let you go, one quick question. I'm not even going to ask you a question. I'm just going to say a term, and you tell me anything and everything you want to tell me about it. UConn.
In Connecticut, they sell pizza with clams on it.
That's delicious.
They claim they invented the cheeseburger. It's not. It really isn't bad, actually. Use a different kind of sauce. The wood-fired pizza there, it's very good. What I will say about UConn is that prior to last week, senior Big 12 officials in the Big 12 office were happy to tell all sorts of national reporters that they wanted UConn because they want to be in the New York City market. And they think that betting on college basketball and betting on New York as a way to make the Big 12 younger and more relevant to youth culture is very important. And athletic directors mostly, and some presidents mostly, did not want that because they've seen UConn play football in the last decade and they recognize that they're not competitive in there. I also know that at the campus level and at the Big East level, there were a lot of people that weren't super excited about that because UConn fans like watching UConn play teams that they've heard of and that they have some kind of connection to, not Oklahoma State. That being said, nothing makes sense anymore. I think it is dramatically less likely that UConn goes to the Big 12 now that the Big 12 is already going to be at 16 teams, or has already done their expansion. But that the fact that the New York guy wants to be in New York is not a secret. And if the Big East's next television deal doesn't go super well, that's a school to keep an eye on.
Gotcha. So not for a little bit anyway. All right. Well, there you have it. That is.
I think what I'm taking from Matt Brown at this point, though, is nothing's off the table.
Can we just redraft conferences every 5 or 6 years and just be done with this thing?
There's so many better ways to do this. We could do that. We could decouple football from all the other sports, so we don't have to send softball teams 2,500 miles across the country.
That would be fantastic. Why is that not the number one thing here? Is it basketball?
No, it's ego, and it's ego and control. And I'll get you out of here on this, and unfortunately, I do need to go.
Gotcha.
I've talked to a couple of commissioners about it on the higher end level. They don't want to give up media rights revenue from Olympic sports by not having those teams under their control. If you let teams set up conferences for different sports, you lose that inventory. You feel like it makes them less sticky to be in your conference, and just plain stupid ego. It's worked for hockey just fine. It works for volleyball. Almost any coach in any sport would say we would prefer doing that. It will make it easier to sell tickets. It would make it easier to make more competitive games. But we don't have great leadership in college athletics. And that's not just an NCAA thing. I think we have too many athletic directors, university presidents, regents, and conference officials who are too afraid to think boldly. And it's leading to people being hurt. And I would look at the past couple of days as an example of that. It's not great.
Matt, thanks. We'll let you get out of here. Go get the kids if that's where you're headed.
Yeah, we're going. Yeah, take them to the doctor now. Thanks, y'all. Appreciate you having me.
Matt Brown again of Extra Points, extrapointsmb.com. Make sure to go follow him on Twitter, Matt Brown EP. Promise you're not going to find any better coverage of this particularly anywhere else. Before we get out of here and get to the Braves real quick, Brett McMurphy tweeting that for the first time in 6 years, Auburn will allow the rolling of Auburn Oaks at Toomer's Corner this fall. So, got to win a game first. But if they do, you get to roll Toomer's Corner. So that's exciting. We will take a break. When we come back, baseball chatter, talk a little Braves, whatever else comes up. Yeah, whatever else comes up on Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. We'll be back to the Lee Company studio in just a moment.
You've been putting back a few, and a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think about calling for a ride. Nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that can happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone.
There is nothing better than drinking an ice-cold beverage while taking in a Nashville Sounds baseball game. Hi, I'm Stephanie Miller with Mornings on Main Street. The Nashville Sounds and Main Street Media Television have teamed up to promote Sunday Family Fun Day here at First Horizon Park, each Sunday home game. Just go to your favorite Main Street Media website and click on Sounds Main Street Media Day banner to register to win free tickets. And then we'll see you here at the ballpark.
Tired of hanging lights every year? We get it. That's why Southern Nights is here to help. We install programmable lighting on your home or business so you can enjoy beautiful, customizable lighting all year round. No more ladders, tangled lights, or cold nights outside. We do the work, you do the celebrating. Call Southern Nights today and take the hassle out of holiday lighting forever. For a free quote, give us a call at 931-241-3074 or visit our Facebook page at Southern Nights.
Let your child play like the pros this fall season and join Titans Flag Football in their NFL Flag Football League. Titans Flag Football is no contact, easy to learn, convenient with teams meeting once per week for practices and games on Sundays. And we cannot forget it's ridiculously fun. Teams are co-ed with ages from pre-K through 8th grade in select locations across Middle Tennessee. Visit TitansFlagFootball.com and sign up before registration closes on September 4th. Let's play together and win together this fall season with Titans Flag Football.
Eighth, 2002, John Smoltz pitched a scoreless ninth inning as the Braves won 4-1 at Arizona. earning his 40th save of the season in Atlanta's 114th game. It marked the fewest team games required by a reliever to reach the 40-save milestone, 3 fewer than St. Louis's Lee Smith in 1993, and 4 less than the White Sox Bobby Thigpen when he set the major league record of 57 in 1990. Smoltz finished with 55 saves, then the second most in MLB history and currently 4th all time. That was this day in Braves history.
This day in Braves history. Always love a good John Smoltz reference.
Wish we could have gotten into a save situation last night.
Last night was. I'm telling you, there's something in the juju right now.
I mean, it's like somebody said on Twitter yesterday. I mean, Max comes back and throws 6 shutout, and everybody else forgets how to pitch.
Just completely forgets, as if it was, it's just
okay. Max is back.
We don't have
to do anything.
We're good, right?
We're good. Max
Are we good? Max is back. Okay, cool. Except
except we're not good. Pittsburgh did to Atlanta what Atlanta has been doing all year with that 6-run third inning.
Yeah, right. And I said
and nothing else, basically.
But yeah, I mean they get one more run the rest of the game, and
that one more run came right after Atlanta scored 4 in the top of the 4th,
which was necessary because the final score was 7-6. So the Braves did all they could offensively to try and get back in this thing, but Acuna in the 9th with just a hair short.
He just got under that ball.
Just missed a chance to go deep, and if that ball falls, we're tied because Albies goes yard in the next AB. By the way, Ozzie Albies has the most home runs of any second baseman in Major League Baseball. Just want to put that out there. And it's again. Baseball's streaky, man. Baseball is what it is. I feel like this team probably just needs a couple of those days that they're going to get in the next week. Just a couple of days off to kind of regroup and.
All right, Huey Lewis.
Not see.
All I need is a couple of days off.
All I need is a couple of days off, and. Hopefully just, not see a baseball.
Well, it's going to get worse before it gets better if that's the issue then, because again, they've got 3 more in Pittsburgh over the next 3 days. They go to New York for 4 against the Mets in 3 days, and then they come home and they've got 3 against the Yankees before they get an off day next Thursday.
I thought they don't have an off day between the Mets and Yankees?
Nope. They play 4 at the Mets Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Then they come home and they play the Yankees for 3 Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday before they get an off day.
For some reason, I was thinking yesterday you said they had an off day in there.
No, they have an off day next Thursday and the following Thursday.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, it could get worse. I mean, this is hopefully you would think the Pirates and Mets would be, good for what ails you, but
I don't think the Mets are going to be good for what ails us because I think the Mets would like nothing better than to twist the knife when you get in there. I mean, we're not going to the playoffs, but we're going to make things miserable for you kind of thing. Now, I don't know who they've got that can make things miserable when Scherzer is gone, when Verlander is gone. They just sent Brett Beatty down.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, they might want to do that,
but can they?
But I don't know that they can do that. Of course, the Braves have not been very good against teams that aren't
very good.
Very good. Now that being said, except in the National League East
division,
they've been superb against the National League East from top to bottom. and you feel like that's something that needs to continue. Obviously, Strider goes out and has one of his rougher performances.
One of?
Maybe the worst of his career. I don't know. I mean, outside the first 2 innings, he was fine, and then the next thing you know, he gets 2 outs in the third and cannot get out of the inning.
Retired first of 6 of the first 7 batters he faced, and just went from sugar to something else.
Salt. We'll just go there.
Yeah.
And I mean, I just kept, I saw the triple that scored a run. I was like, okay, whatever. He'll get out. He has 2 outs. He'll get out of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then nope.
It
it just kept piling on, and I thought, this can't be right. Still in the bottom of the third, there's 2 outs. There were still 2 outs for a while.
For a long time. In fact, I think they might have scored all 6 with 2 outs.
They did. Scored all 6 runs with 2 outs. Tough.
Get it out of your system now.
Yes. Now, to what we talked about yesterday, the NLDS schedule has been released. And game 1 will be on a Saturday, game 2 on Monday, game 3 on Wednesday.
Oh, good Lord. Saturday, Monday, Wednesday?
Saturday, Monday, Wednesday. So
you could conceivably throw your game 1 guy in game 3.
If you wanted to go on short rest, you could.
It's 4 days. Sunday, Monday, and 3. Yeah, it'd be short rest.
It'd be 1 day short.
Yeah.
But if you wanted to, you could. But if you don't, game 4 is on Thursday. That's regular rest for your game 1 guy. So you're talking Fried, Strider, whoever's got the hot hand. And you can really
Fried.
And you feel like you can afford to lose that, even if it is
because you got Fried in game
and Strider 4. in 4 and 5. Now that might.
Now the question becomes. You're right.
But if you can get away, I mean,
do you go Fried, Strider, and then everybody in game 3? Elder, Morton, whoever else?
I think you go Elder, because you could come back. You've got Morton in a elimination game has been money. Now again, this is pre broken leg, but I mean, to me, the NLDS sets up perfectly. Now the CS, you got to win 4 games, and you can't rely on Fried and Strider to win all 4.
Yeah, somebody else is going to have to do something.
Somebody else is going to have to. Now, that being said, to me, this particular Braves rotation from starters and relievers is set up to be as good as anyone, as good as they've ever been.
And Dylan Lee is coming soon to a mound near you.
As is Jesse Chavez, potentially. So give me those 2 in my bullpen. Get rid of a couple of guys that do not need to be there, like Ben Heller, probably.
Well, Heller's already down, right?
Oh, he may be. That's a good question.
Is he? I think Heller went down with the last. I think Heller went down when they activated Matt.
Brad Hand. Maybe.
Nah, they didn't trade for Brad Hand to not use him.
No, I'm saying, but No, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, no.
He went down
No,
with
I think Heller went down when Max was activated.
Okay. Well, it's very possible.
Yeah.
But
who would you pull out of that bullpen at this point? Who's going to have the mystery forearm strain?
Colin McHugh. And maybe even Michael Tonkin. I don't know. Tonkin pitched okay yesterday.
He pitched okay. Didn't pitch great.
But right now, Kirby Yates has been really good. Pierce Johnson has been quietly good.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Jimenez has been dominant since
he got
pretend that April doesn't exist.
His last outing, did he go last night or was it in Chicago? His last outing wasn't great, but I mean, it's tough to get upset when you look at what he's done over the last month or so.
He's pitched 2.1 innings in August, 2 hits, 1 run, 1 earned with 1 walk and 2 strikeouts in 2 1/3. Jimenez.
He gave up a earned run on 2 hits with a walk in an inning on Sunday.
So in his 3 appearances this month, all of that came against the Cubs.
Mm-hmm. And you might just have to chalk that up to the Cubs.
Seriously, like in his last 5 appearances, he's given up 3 hits, 1 run, which was earned.
That was against the Cubs.
2 walks, 5 strikeouts in his last 5 appearances.
Yeah.
Dude's been nails for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So not him. I mean, this is a bullpen that's going to be really hard to get into and to feel good sitting about.
But at the same time, though, I mean, before Lee got hurt,
before Dylan Lee and Jesse Chavez should have been an all-star.
Really should have been.
So I mean, it's so hard to say what do you do? And here's the thing: you're going to have to play with it a little bit. You're going to have to see who's does Jesse still have it after being injured? Does Lee still have it? Otherwise, do we need to keep these other guys up and going? So it's going to be interesting to see what Alex Anthopoulos and Brian Snicker do. And I will be intently watching once those guys get back.
Yeah, without question.
Let's take a break. Go to Murfreesboro as Chip Walters.
Now and in the morning. Chip
Walters is with us, and we'll take a quick break. When we come back, Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. We'll talk to the voice of the Blue Raiders right here. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Did you know that up to 80% of us will experience back or neck pain during our lifetime? Many of you are offered surgery or addictive pain pills to relieve your chronic pain. At the Dr. Gill's Center for Back, Neck, Chronic Pain Relief, we have been leading the way to better health, naturally, and have helped tens of thousands of people right here in Middle Tennessee for the past 30 years.
I came to Dr. Gill about 10 years ago after my local doctors recommended surgery. I knew about Dr. Gill and wanted to see if he could help me. 10 years later, I am pain-free, no surgery, and no pain pills.
Surgery is scary, and over 40% of all back surgeries fail, creating a cycle of surgery and pills. There is a safer solution to your chronic pain. Make the call to the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, Chronic Pain Relief today and get your life back. This office visit is normally $299, but call today and receive your initial consultation, report of finding for just $49. But hurry, this offer won't last long. Call 615-768-8743. That's 615-768-8743.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Maury County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
We are back. I may have been muted. I may have figured out how to mute it.
Can you do it again, though?
Let's see. There you go. That's how you mute it. You push the button on the bottom.
Oh, okay.
just tap it. Don't hold it. It turns it off.
TIL.
Now you know. We are back in the Lee Company studio on Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. And we are getting ready to talk a little bit about the True Blue Raiders, MTSU, who getting ready, of course, for their football media event tomorrow. And we will be on site for said event. Looking forward to it, as we hoping to get a chance to talk with athletics director Chris Massaro and football coach Rick Stockstill. But today, as we always do on Tuesdays, except when it's not, we talk to the voice of the Blue Raiders, and that is Chip Walters. Chip, what's going on, man?
Doing okay. I'm just so you know, I'm using my sunglasses as hiding some. I went to Sam's Sports Grill for lunch, so there's a little black bean and rice juice there. That so I'm using props here, but doing okay.
If it makes you feel any better, we've got you cropped off right there, so you
I can see that. I can see that now, but. I hate to give Mark Owens any credit, but I think, you know, the event that they've come up with tomorrow is going to be pretty good. And, you know, there's, from all indications, good attendance from the media, most importantly, you guys. And so that's, you know, I think that's going to be a lot of fun. And, you know, when you flip it around, I think that's going to be kind of the players a little extra juice. Here they are, you know, a week into fall camp, you know, kind of the dog days, and all of a sudden you turn around and you see all these different media outlets that are there to give your team some exposure. I think that'll do them good as well.
Anything to help.
There you go.
Obviously, it's football season, it's preseason football season, but want to get your thoughts on the announcement of the 2023 MTSU Sports Hall of Fame class that was revealed. I guess the final reveal was Friday, maybe? We've got
yeah, no, actually the final was on Saturday, because we started last Monday. Okay. And I'm pulling up here just to make sure I don't miss anybody. but it all started with a women's basketball player, Anne Marie Lanning, Brents, and ended with a women's basketball player from our era, Mo, and Janet Ross, who at the time of her playing, she was she was, to me, when I think of Janet Ross, I think of our version of Kim Mulkey, because I remember when Kim Mulkey played at Louisiana Tech, Janet kind of had that same feel about running the ball club. She had some fire about her, and she could score, and she made other players better. And is just a heck of a great lady, and it couldn't be more proud for her.
I think that's a heck of a comp, Chip. When you say that, I've never thought about it that way, but I can certainly see that, again, having watched Janet play at MTSU. And we had Brad Willis on a couple of weeks ago, as you know, with the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame, and we talked from time to time about how they have inductees, and it's like they weren't already in. They're just now getting in. And that's kind of my thought about Janet Ross. I would have expected her, for what she did individually for the teams that she was on, you would have thought she was already in there.
Well, and I hear that, you hear that a lot, but and that goes for a lot of players, a lot of athletes who have come through and had great careers. But, and I'm just kind of giving you some facts here, is that for a long, long time, the Blue Raider Hall of Fame only had 3 inductees per year. 3. Now it's up to 5 plus a potential 6th inductee each year. We have a committee that's, I can't remember the exact name of it, but it's basically kind of the old timers committee, where people, number one, to be inducted into the Blue Raider Hall of Fame, you have to have been gone for 10 years. So that kind of allows your career to be put in perspective over time.
To marinate a
little bit. And I think that's good. I mean, people say, oh, you need to put them in right now. Well, no, hang on just a second.
Pump the brakes.
But then there's our legacy committee. That's the name of it, or Legends Committee. I can't remember, one of the two. It's got LEG
with an L. Yeah.
But they go back and relook at people who have been out for 35 years. And for the last several years since that committee was brought on, that has allowed people like Janet Ross to have a fresh look and get in. And they select 1 per year. The regular committee selects 5 per year. And I think that's a good thing, because
I really could have done without you saying
I know 35
Janet
years.
Ross has been out 35 years, but yeah.
But it's I think this class is outstanding. You've got 3 females going in. Melanie Manley is the 3rd. You've got a great defensive lineman in Jeff Littlejohn. You've got LaRon Dendy going in, who also is historic, and you've got a great tennis player going in. Now, LaRon Dendy is the first ever 1-season player to ever be selected.
Oh, goodness.
At middle in 100 and some odd years now. He is the first 1-season player, 1-year player to be selected. But it was thought of by the committee that his impact on the trajectory of men's basketball when he came here was so significant that he certainly deserved it. And I'm telling you, he is fired up about it. And the thing is, the impact that he made, and now we chime in, and that really tells me that was a great decision for LaRon to go in, because they have all come, to his support, and hey, can't wait to be.
That was weird. We lost your audio there for a second. You still lost your audio. Can you hear us?
Oh, there we go.
There's a person. Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Yeah, I was getting a phone call at the time, and there's someone who always calls when I'm trying to do the interview with you, but that's fine.
It's not your sister, is it?
No, it's not. No, she never calls. So
she would say the same about you.
That's right.
Chip Walters, the voice of the Blue Raiders, joining us as he does every Tuesday afternoon here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Again, Anne-Marie Lanning-Brents, Anthony DeLuise, LaRon Dendy, Melanie Manley-Durham, Jeff Littlejohn, and Janet Ross announced as 2023 inductees into the MTSU Hall of Fame. And that induction ceremony will be held on Friday, September 22nd. Prior to what game?
That will be prior to the Colorado State game. That's homecoming weekend.
Okay. All right. So make plans to attend. Chip, what else is going on? What else do we need to know?
Let's see here. A couple of football notes from former Blue Raiders. Isaiah Gathings has signed a free agent contract with the Kansas City Chiefs.
As a what?
As a wide receiver. And
a wide receiver. How big is he?
Well, and I say wide receiver. They could have signed him as a tight end.
That's what I was wondering. Yeah.
I'm not sure if he's quite thick enough to be in. Yeah, but Gathings, he had a really good year. Kid out of South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
His dad, by the way, a little interesting story about Isaiah. His dad played basketball at High Point, and at one time back in those days when that was, High Point, Marshall, and were both in the same conference. Conference tournament comes around. Isaiah's dad, or actually Marshall, who was awarded the MVP of the tournament, and that fellow said no, and he walked down and he gave it to Isaiah's dad, who had dominated the tournament. So that's a pretty good little story there.
That's solid. That's
yeah.
Good stuff. So he signed, and who else?
Jordan Ferguson is now a Seattle Seahawk. He had previously signed with the Memphis Showboats, and he becomes the second Showboat to go from the USFL to the NFL. And so looking forward to he's going to be in town this week and have an opportunity to get to talk to him. Well, we may or may not, because he was supposed to be in town on Thursday, but this signing may have actually changed his travel plans. But Ferg will be they'll love him in Seattle if he gets the opportunity. That I know he will do everything in his power to earn.
Going from the Memphis Showboats to the Seattle Seahawks kind of reminds me of that line from John Lovitz when he was a scout in A League of Their Own. Well, then this would be more, wouldn't it? Yeah. So
that's right.
Yeah, that's anytime you can go from the USFL to the NFL, that's a good thing.
Yeah, and a lot. Dan Campbell mentioned it in his presser last week, talking about how great it has been for XFL and USFL players to get that game experience through the summer and not just camp type experience. They get a chance to come in. They're fresh. They've been playing real football, and then they come into camp and compete immediately, and it's nice for them to get that opportunity. So that is pretty great. And of course, he'll obviously have the opportunity if the Seahawks don't work out to play in the USFL. So
yeah,
Chip, tonight you guys will actually play real live sports that don't count, but at least it's against somebody other than yourselves.
Right.
That's right. The women's soccer team will take on Southern Indiana, and I think that is a 5:00 kickoff. at the Dean Hayes Track and Soccer Stadium. So that'll be to actually, and I'm sure it will be a friendly. It will not be like the White Sox and Guardians. It'll be much friendlier than that. So that'll be the weather's really nice outside today. It's not very humid, so looking forward to that. And they'll do that and get that going for real. I saw them; they've been out in their training sessions, and sometimes you remember we always think about football fall camp, but the soccer ladies get there about the same time, as does volleyball, and they've already had some inter squad stuff. So it's getting to be that time. I mean, Middle and Alabama kick off 3 weeks from Saturday, and at Bryant Denny, and that is creeping up on me quick. And I've got 8 days in there next week where I'm going to be gone. So I've already started doing some preliminary work on my stuff and working on preliminary charts, things like that, and looking forward to practice tomorrow. So to get to see, who I need to move around on the charts a little bit.
Leave quarterback open for Alabama.
It's too much.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I don't think they know yet. Chip, you mentioned White Sox Guardians. Our Top 5 Tuesday subject is, what is it? Is it best sports fights? Is it most famous sports fights?
Just top 5 sports fights.
What's your top sports fight, Chip?
Well, I mean, the anniversary of this week, the Nolan Ryan, just blasting our buddy with the Texas Rangers
Robin Ventura.
Yeah, Robin Ventura.
It's not been a great week for White Sox.
You know
what? Robin Ventura is going, thank you, Tim Anderson. Let me send you a fruit basket.
Took some pressure off of me. Yeah.
They said it was the only time Robin Ventura ever had 7 hits in 1 inning. And
yeah. Hey, as you answered that,
there was one in Atlanta. You had the one back in the 80s, but the one that you and I both saw was the middle Tech.
That's where I thought you were going.
Yeah, as Tech calls it, mayhem in Murfreesboro, and it is. The thing is that my pal Kyle Turnham tells me that same year there were in Cookeville there was also a fight that on the floor was just a kind of a minor skirmish, but right before halftime, and both teams got up in that hallway.
Because there's only one entrance to the floor at the Eblin Center.
Correct.
So both teams have to go off at the same end.
Yeah, and they both got up in there, and it broke out again, and he said was way worse than what happened on the floor at Murphy Center.
Yeah.
So
I think I was actually up there for that for whatever reason, but yeah. It's not pretty.
You're short on toilet paper and needed to pick some up while you were there.
There we go. Yeah, the Tech Squares.
the diplomas. So
sorry to any Tech fans listening.
Golly, y'all are they catching strays.
Hey.
Talk about catching strays. Cookeville out here just minding its own business, and you guys came in swinging.
I'm sorry, we're middle grads. Just going to have to deal with it. Chip?
Yes, sir?
Anything else? We don't want to miss anything. Again,
Family fun night in Smyrna. 5:30 p.m. at the Lee Victory Recreation Park, right there behind the Jeff Coos Blue Angel Memorial. Beautiful park in Smyrna. They'll have all kinds of stuff like inflatables, all of that. So that'll be Friday night in Smyrna. So, and until I see you again tomorrow, that's all I've got.
Until tomorrow. Chip, as always, we appreciate it. And again, we will see you tomorrow, and we'll see you next Tuesday.
Make sure you've got your Sharpie handy tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll make sure. By the way, are we supposed to have good weather in the morning?
I don't know. I sure
I hope so.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
Man, that might change a lot.
I mean,
A lot.
Understand.
Yeah.
So,
it looks like kind of cloudy, lows to mid 70s. I'll take that.
Yeah, cloudy's not bad. Yeah.
I can dig that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I'll take that all day.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's going to be a good morning.
All right.
There you go.
You bringing the donut country?
I haven't determined that yet, but I do have a couple of. I got a coupon in the car, so that who knows what might happen.
There we go. He's got a coupon.
A coupon. A coupon.
What do you take? Coupons.
Chip, we'll see you tomorrow.
Oh man, that's good. All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll get Ron Higgins of the Shreveport Bossier Journal to talk a little GEAUX, Go Tigers, right here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Y'all stick around. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Maury County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yao, Mo Patton, and it is time to continue our SEC football previews as we
actually begin.
Well, yeah, I guess
SEC
college football previews, beginning with our SEC previews today, and we go team by team between now and is it August 18th? Yes.
No, it's 25th.
August 25th. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
August 25th. Between now and then, we'll preview 14 Southeastern Conference teams.
Because that's how many there are right now.
For now. Exactly.
This year.
Next year, we have to start this on a Monday, I guess. Or on a
No,
Friday.
we'll have to start it on a Friday.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot. So we go now to Louisiana. Gotta love it. To the boot, where Ron Higgins is standing by. Talk a little LSU Tigers. Ron, thanks for joining us, man.
How y'all doing, man?
We're doing well, Ron. I appreciate you fielding my call in the midst of practice this morning and setting this up. But morning practices are a little bit better than afternoon practices down there this time of year, I would imagine.
Yeah, but still really, really hot. It's still probably, it was in the hundreds by the time we got out there. We went out there a little bit late, like about 10:30, 10:45. It was hot. I mean, it's been hot. It's been over 100 degrees now in Baton Rouge, probably for more than a week straight, I'd say. Yeah. But Brian Kelly's been really smart about how he's handled this. They start practice inside for about an hour. Then they go outside for an hour. Today, they stretched it to an hour and 15 minutes. As he said afterward, we're going to try to stretch it a little bit more every day because we know it's going to be really, really hot in Orlando for the season opener. But he doesn't want his guys just, I mean, everybody's in shape, but still in that stun, it's brutal out there. And he wants to kind of get them acclimated to that. I mean, but they've worked out all summer, inside and outside anyway.
Was it hot yesterday, Ron?
Yeah, it was hot yesterday. And and it was hot and tempers got a little short and had a nice little fight. I think the offense really got tired of LSU defensive tackle Mason Smith just living in the backfield every down because, he didn't play. He played the first series last year at Florida State and hurt his knee and was out the rest of the year. And this guy is an absolute monster. And you can't – he's hard to handle with a single blocker and really tough with two blockers. So I think Tippers got a little short. And for some reason, the offense was talking trash and wide receiver Kyron Lacey was talking trash. Harold Perkins was talking trash back. Before you know it, there's a scuffle. I don't think any punches were thrown. But it was, one of those typical football fights. Everybody's pushing and talking garbage. And both offense and defense kind of came together. I mean, Kelly called them together after it was over and said, listen, I appreciate the passion. If you love football, it's a passionate sport. These things happen, but you got to respect the brotherhood of your team. So just remember that. So they were out there today and had no incidents. So I expected. Listen, look, LSU's 2019 year. I mean, we had reports that there were probably a lot of fights in practice. I mean, especially between Joe Burrow and Patrick Queen. The two leaders of each side of the ball, and there were some pretty good fights there. I mean, probably much more physical than yesterday. But I think this team. I think it'll be eager to start the season. I think it's eager now. They got some work to do, but they know what they have, and they are pretty loaded, and they know what they have.
Yeah,
they're eager to go, and they can't wait to play Florida State again.
I was going to ask you, Ron, and you kind of spoke to it a little bit. From a coaching standpoint, there's a fine line there because you don't want anybody to get hurt in a situation like that, but you do kind of like to see that fire, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you'd like to see that fire, but still, you don't see anybody get hurt, and I thought Kelly handled it really well. I mean, Harold Perkins was the most upset out of all of them. He was on the sideline. He was trying to check himself back in because he wanted to go whip somebody's butt. Kelly pulled him aside, talked to him for 5 minutes, calmed him down. Perkins is hell on wheels, man. I mean, they moved him now at middle linebacker. Last year, he was a spot player. Kind of spot him all different parts of the defense, and was a first-team freshman All-American. I mean, I think maybe when it was All-SEC first team. It started probably like half the year. And they moved him middle linebacker now, and he's he's cleaning up at middle linebacker. Their linebacking core got a lot better in the offseason. Not only moving him to linebacker, but they Omar Spates, an All Pac-10 first-team linebacker from Morgan State. They've got him at linebacker, and he's playing pretty good. So, again, Kelly's done a really good job of taking transfers and plugging them in, and they produce.
Ron Higgins joining us here on Main Street Sports today. Ron, on the offensive side of the ball, everyone knows the name Jaden Daniels. And obviously he's going to be the leader of this team. He's going to have to be the biggest playmaker for this team if they're going to match last year's success. That being said, he's going to have some help. And in the backfield, they've got a couple of guys who returned, Josh Williams and Noah Kane, but Logan Diggs coming from Notre Dame. How does he fit in, and how much can LSU fans expect for him to contribute?
I think he'll contribute a lot. I mean, he'll be in the rotation for sure. He catches the ball really well out of the backfield. Runs, strong inside runner. LSU's got a cast of thousands now at running back. I mean, they got Diggs, they got Josh Williams, who came as a walk-on, and every year you kept saying, well, yeah, and then they have Josh Williams, but he's become their most dependable back the last couple of years. Armani Goodwin, who's just an explosive back. He's had hamstring problems throughout his career, but when he's well, he gets through a hole quicker than anybody on this team. Again, you have Logan Diggs. Noah Kane really played well toward the end of last year, transferred from Penn State. He played well toward the end of last year. I think he ended up with 10 touchdowns for the year. And, of course, when you talk rushing attack, you're talking Jaden Daniels, who's the fastest quarterback LSU's ever had. Last year, the first glimpse we got of him in the scrimmage, the scrimmages, the quarterback starts running, the play's blown dead when you touch him. He had a 25-yard run the first time he ran the ball, bailing out of the pocket, because nobody could get a hand on him to blow before he blew it down. I'm like, okay, this will be interesting. And he's put a little bit of weight on him. He's still fast. He's improved as a passer, a lot more confident than he was last year. He grew in confidence in the last half of last year. And really, I mean, here's a guy who midseason last year was reluctant to throw the ball downfield because, one, he didn't trust his receivers, and two, he ran so well he felt like he could get 15 yards on any time he decided to run, which was basically true. But once he started trusting his receivers, that's when LSU took off and has played great down the stretch. And he's gotten a lot better. So he's gone from somebody who didn't want to throw the ball downfield to somebody who's like second or third in Heisman Trophy odds, which is just crazy. And the thing is, his backup, Garrett Nussmeier, if Daniels got hurt, I don't think there'd be any drop off in the offense. Maybe as far as running, but as far as a passer, Nussmeier, I'm watching him throw balls all over the field, fit into tight windows. He's improved a ton. That's something LSU. They got a lot of everything now. I mean, just in year two of Brian Kelly, got a lot of running backs, a lot of receivers. They got 4 or 5 tight ends, all the 6'4" to 6'6" range. With a ton of weight on them who can move. It's pretty amazing what he's been done in 1 year, Kelly, as far as getting a lot of depth. Got depth on the offensive line now. Got a little depth on the defensive line. The only question for this team is defensive backs, because they've had to redo their defensive backfield 2 years in a row with transfers. But I anticipate that'll be okay too. I mean, I'm watching them in practice today. Deuce Chestnut from Syracuse started a ton of games at Syracuse. He's a one cornerback. A transfer from Southeastern Louisiana. I know that's a FCS school, but I think it's Ty Alexander. I mean, he's played well. They just got a lot of everything, and you couldn't say that a year ago. You didn't know Kelly didn't know what he had a year ago. And as bad as they played in the season opener against Florida State, and they played terrible. They almost sent the game overtime and had a chance to win the game. They had an extra point blocked with no time left on the clock, and Florida State got out there with a win. And I think LSU is really, really pointing that game this year because they've heard all the talk how Florida State, that was like a springboard victory and blah, blah, blah. And LSU's like, we played like crap and still almost beat them. And we're much better this year. So I think LSU is really pointing toward that first game. They really, really are. It means a lot to them. Some of the places they had problems last year, special teams, they couldn't field a punt the first half of the year or kickoff. They were just god-awful. It got to the point every time they kicked the punt at LSU, you just want the return to run out of exit. Just exit the field right then. Don't touch it. Just keep running. They were so bad. Now they got people. Now they got Aaron Anderson, wide receiver freshman, who was at Alabama last year, and he's like a blur. And it's natural to him to catch punts. He's going to be hell on wheels again. Kelly has been really good about identifying problems that he has to shore up in a hurry, and he finds the right transfer. I don't think he's hardly missed on anybody. He's got transfer in here. He got Jaden Daniels come in. He got Mekhi Wingo from Missouri, who became all SEC first team defensive lineman last year to replace Mason Smith after he got hurt. This year he got Omar Spates, the all Pac-10 linebacker, to come step in. It's pretty impressive. Darren Chestnut, the cornerback from Syracuse, it's pretty impressive how he identifies something and gets the guy, and the guy pretty much acclimates himself pretty quick.
Ron Higgins at Ron Higg at HIGG on Twitter has a website, theronhiggins.com. Except no substitutes. The Ron Higgins.
RonHiggins.com was taken. and one of my friends I worked with before Mobile, Tommy Hicks, his Twitter is the Tommy Hicks. So I thought, okay, I'll try the Ron Higgins. So it worked. So I'm on there and also do the Shreveport Bossier Journal. So yeah. So why not?
Whoever owns RonHiggins.com is something. If you type it in,
I hope so.
It simply says, "Nothing to see here. Please move along."
There you go. That's the story of my career.
It just says coming soon, and that's
it. The Ron Higgins, there's plenty to see there. But Ron, you talk about this Florida State game over in Orlando on Labor Day weekend. As you look at this LSU schedule, should they win that game, and they're certainly fired up to do so, you feel like there's a better than even chance of them being undefeated into Tuscaloosa first week of November.
You would think, because they have Grambling. The first time I ever played Grambling. This was Grambling's first trip ever to Tiger Stadium. At Mississippi State with a new coach. Arkansas and Baton Rouge. They lost Arkansas 2 years ago. They want to get revenge on that. Ole Miss, which could be a problem in Oxford. It could be. And then they play at Missouri, and then they get to play Auburn and Baton Rouge, and then Army and Baton Rouge. Army comes to LSU for the first time. And then the week off and then Alabama. But LSU's schedule is set up where the back part is loaded with the home games. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of their last 6 games are home.
And their last 3 against Florida, Georgia State, and A&M.
Yeah, and so it's again, they get through the first part, and there's some potential hazards there. I really think. Anytime LSU Ole Miss get together, anything can happen. Anything can happen, especially with Kiffin as coach, and his wide open offense. I mean, last year I think they jumped out on LSU pretty good. And LSU put like 35 straight points up. LSU was last year was an extremely resilient football team who came from behind. I mean, they were 10-4 last year. They could have easily lost 3 other games, but they came back and won games. I mean, they're very resilient, and it kind of speaks to the way Brian Kelly coaches. That they just you don't panic, you just keep playing, you stick with the plan, you trust what the coaches are saying, and it worked over and over again. I mean, they trailed Auburn by 17, won that. Let's see, I know they trailed somebody. Trailed Mississippi State by 13, won that. Trailed Ole Miss by 17, won that. And they're much better this year. I mean, much better. And that's why I guess there's that confidence there. I mean, I know they were voted number 5 in the coaches poll yesterday. I'd say that's fair. I thought it might be a little further back a little bit, but 5's fine. I mean, LSU's history of preseason polls, the higher they're voted, the worse they play. Of course, that's when Les Miles was head coach.
I was going to say, there's a little different when there's a guy like Brian Kelly at the helm, would think.
They hired an accomplished coach for the first time in their history. I mean, they hired a guy who knew what he was doing. I mean, even Nick Saban was unproven when they hired him out of Michigan State in 2000. He was unproven. Kelly's the most proven coach they've ever hired. And LSU's done a pretty good job lately of hiring coaches. I mean, when you go steal Kim Mulkey from Baylor, women's basketball, and you steal Brian Kelly from Notre Dame, and you get Jay Johnson, the coach at Arizona baseball, who was considered one of the up-and-coming best ones, they've done a really good job of hiring coaches lately. And when they hired Kelly, I think LSU's AD's quote was, "We hired a grown-up," and that's what they wanted. I mean, coming off, Ed Orgeron, who basically in his last year just did everything to get fired to collect the lotto ticket, and he did. So he can spend the rest of his life in beach bars with his shirt off, flexing and with billions in his bank account. So good for him. That's what he wanted to do. But they got a guy who has a plan, who knows how to build a program and maintain a program, and is a proven winner. And they're very happy with him. I was never hooked up on the. Anytime you hire a guy from another part of the country, there's always this. Oh, is he a cultural fit? You win anywhere. You're a cultural fit. Was Nick Saban a cultural fit when he came to LSU? Hell no. But he won. All of a sudden, he's one of us. And anywhere you go like that, you get a guy, but that person has to know what he's getting into. He has to understand that part of the country, and he has to have a good feel of it. And
because especially when you are in Louisiana, and recruiting Louisiana is so important.
Yeah, he understood that. I think, look, that's why Nick Saban came to LSU in 2000. I mean, he knew how hot Louisiana was as a recruiting ground. When a coach wants to make a coaching change, he wants to know, do I have the support of administration? Do I have great facilities? And is recruiting in that state pretty good? And Saban Saban saw the stat of Louisiana usually leads the NFL per capita number of Louisiana-bred players. And he I might want to work it. Yeah.
It seems like a good idea.
So he called his agent, Jimmy Sexton, in Memphis, and Sexton called him a guy in New Orleans, Sean Toohey. And Sean Toohey knew Joe Dean for a long time. And that's how they got Nick Saban. With Kelly, I mean, there are a lot of names thrown out there. LSU went at Kelly kind of early in the process, and he didn't know if he wanted to do it. But later in the year, the more he thought about it, and Kelly look, he wanted to go somewhere where he could feel like he won a national championship, and he was never going to do it at Notre Dame because he just, one, the facilities weren't the best in the world, and two, you have to put up with all the academic stuff. I mean, you get guys who can't get in school who are really good players, and so he wanted to feel like he could go somewhere where he could win and win national championship, and that's why he came to LSU. And honestly, he got waxed twice by Alabama in the playoffs when he was at Notre Dame. And last year, that's why he went for 2 points against Alabama to win it, because he'd never been to that point before. He thought, you know what, if I just have one play, if I just need one play to beat Alabama, I'm going to take that chance. I've never been here before. I'm going to take that chance. Called the perfect play. They won the game. And so he's really building this thing. And I guess, people like him. He's got a really dry sense of humor. He's funny, but he answers questions. He's direct. And get this, just before the start of preseason camp, he announced that LSU would have a NFL-style injury report they would release every week, twice a week. No college coach does that.
Wow.
They're all paranoid as hell.
He's like, listen, we got Jimmy's, we got Joe's, and we don't care if you know who's hurt.
Yeah, I mean,
because if one's hurt, we got another one to replace him.
Right behind him, so let's go.
And last year he was pretty forthright. You asked about an injury, he wouldn't lie. He goes, yeah, he hurt an ankle. He's going to play this week. We'll know more Wednesday. When I talk to you Thursday, I have a better idea. We'll see how he doesn't practice Wednesday. We'll let you know. And he always would, never lied about it. But
wow,
he feared with all the gambling stuff going on, with Alabama's dumb butt baseball coach, what he did, giving out information on a pitcher that was injured. A pitcher, by the way, who transferred to LSU recently. And that and the recent stuff with Iowa State, whatever it was.
Both.
Yeah, he didn't. He felt, I don't want my football team to be put in a position, or people who work here, a position where people trying to infiltrate it to get information. They didn't want guys call assistant manager to get information or whatever, or even call
that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And so he said, what?
Just put it out there.
I'm just going to put it out there.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be. There's nothing more aggravating for a media guy when a guy's hurt and you ask a coach, he goes, well, there's HIPAA privacy laws and I can't talk about that. Oh, come on, man.
Come on, man.
Right.
And so he decided, I'm going to put it out there. And when he announced it, he goes, I don't know why it took so long for me to come to do this. This makes sense. It's easy. We'll tell you if it's probable, questionable. We'll tell you what part of the body's hurt.
It's refreshing.
Makes too much sense.
It's very refreshing. It's refreshing when a coach tells you, we're going to allow you in 10 practices in the preseason so you can get a really good idea of what we're doing. And so you can put your offensive and defensive start lineups together. And when you do that, email me those, please. I appreciate it.
Ron Higgins at Ron Higg, 2 G's on Twitter. You can find his website, theronhiggins.com. He's going to tell you everything you need to know about LSU football and more. And Ron, we appreciate you taking some time with us this afternoon.
I'm glad just to be inside and not be like sweating like a big dog.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing. Enjoy the cool, man. We'll catch up with you.
All right, guys. Take care. We'll see you.
Thanks.
All right. It's time for Top 5 Tuesday. Top 5 sports, brawls, fights, whatever you want to call them. Brought to you by Mid-South 5 Fitness at Steel Athletes on Instagram, STEEL Athletes, and steelathletes.com. We start, Mo. Go first. We'll let you go. Then Justin. Justin, you there?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's go.
I'm gonna slip back to the conversation we were having with our prior guest, Chip Walters, and I'm gonna put these two brawls together between Tennessee Tech and MTSU basketball. The '86 event up at Evelyn Center in Cookeville and the 1990 Malay in Murfreesboro, which you can actually find on YouTube. There's no film of the Cookeville one, of course.
No, they didn't have that technology.
Yeah, exactly. Not in Cookeville. But yeah, that's my first pick.
Justin?
I'm going to go with the Jose Batista fight with...
I'm not sure if it would be a fight on Jose Batista's end. It was...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Roughneck Odor sent his sunglasses flying in that one. Yeah, that one's on my list.
Yep.
Well, if y'all aren't going to take it, I'll take Malice at the Palace.
There you go.
I mean, I'll take it.
It was on my list as
Fell
well.
to the 3. I'll take it every time.
Yeah.
Number 2.
My number 2. I'm gonna go. Justin might shoot me, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
Andre Johnson.
Cortland Finnegan, 2010.
Oh, that was a good one.
Yeah,
that was a good one. Justin, number 2.
I'm gonna stick with the Titans and go when Albert was at the game. Hainsworth stomping on
Andre Garrod.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
2006.
Hainsworth was involved in another one when he was a Giant, right?
Redskin.
When he was a Redskin against the Giants.
Yeah.
More than likely.
Yeah.
So there's more than likely. Hainsworth was involved in the fight. Yep, exactly. Plenty of those. Number 2, I'm gonna go Braves Padres, 1984.
That's the one Chip was talking about. Yeah, that was not pretty. Number 3, I'm going back to before either of y'all was born, but that's okay. Kermit Washington, Rudy Tomjanovich.
He broke Rudy's face. His whole face.
Yep.
It nearly killed Rudy Tomjanovich.
Yeah.
Number 3, Justin.
I'm gonna go with LeGarrette Blount when he was.
That's a good one.
When he was in college.
Yeah, at Oregon. Yeah, that's
against Boise State.
That is a good one. Yeah.
Give me Jeff Van Gundy pulling Alonzo Mourning's leg. I don't know if the fight was against the Knicks and Heats or Jeff Van Gundy and a size 18 shoe. One of the two. Those are actually 2 different fights.
Yeah. That's a heck of an image right there. Absolutely. My number 4. I'm going to stay in 1977. Actually, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Kent Benson.
That was.
These weren't necessarily fights.
No, they were
because
more,
they were like. It was a lot like the other night.
Kind of like
one punch. Yeah, one and done. A one hitter quitter.
Yeah, exactly. Justin.
I'm gonna go with the Kenny Pickett, or I think it was not Kenny Pickett. The Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback that got into it with Myles Garrett.
Oh, Mason Rudolph.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, with Myles Garrett. Yeah.
Yep.
When Garrett took his helmet off and tried to swing it, it's a whole thing.
Just imagine Myles Garrett coming at me, and it's just.
Yeah, I think I just turned and run.
My number 4, I'm gonna go with. Oh man, this is gonna be tough. How about since it's Oilers this year, Buddy Ryan punching Kelvin Gilbride?
Oh. Oiler on Oiler crime.
Oiler on Oiler crime, baby.
Absolutely. That's awesome.
Gilbride was not on offense in that one.
Yeah. My number 5, I'm going 2003 Yankees Red Sox. Pedro Martinez pushing down.
You almost
Zimmer.
didn't get. That was the other one I was debating on. It was either Gilbride or Zimmer and Pedro.
Yeah.
Poor Don Zimmer just absolutely bull rushed, and I mean the best pitcher in the game.
Yeah,
it was crazy. Dude, 70-something years old, just going hard.
But everybody comes down on Pedro for shoving him.
Yeah,
he's like, what's he supposed to do? Exactly. I don't care if he's 70 years old. He came at me.
He ran at me. I don't know what.
I don't know what you want.
Number 5, Justin.
Similar to the Cortland Finnegan and Andre Johnson, AJ Green and Jalen Ramsey when Ramsey was on the Jags.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah, Aqib Talib and Michael Crabtree was on my list too. But my number 5, I knew nobody was going to pick this one, so I waited for last. Donnie Allison and Cale Yarborough.
You're right.
Was an absolute brawl. I mean,
a Donnybrook?
Yes, a Donnybrook with Donnie Allison and Cale Yarborough. I mean, an absolute brawl in NASCAR. Other ones on my list: George Teague and T.O. That wasn't really a fight, but it was kind of a cheap shot more. Miami and Florida International.
I've got that one. Yeah.
That was a big one. And
You're going to recognize this one. You were just a baby, but you're going to recognize Shaquille O'Neal, Carlos Groves, SEC tournament.
Yes. And also on my list was Michigan and Michigan State football. In the tunnel, remember?
Mhm.
And nobody knew about it. It was a fight nobody knew about
Right,
until Michigan State started suspending players.
Yeah, and folks started catching charges.
Yeah, that was wild.
Yeah.
So some good ones in here, man. This was when I asked the question, were there enough? There clearly were. So
without question.
Glad you guys were able to hang out with us on Top 5 Tuesday. Come back tomorrow at 2:00. Of course, we've got Heather Williams talking NASCAR. Continue SEC previews and more. So come back tomorrow.
Thank you.